Every self-funded search deal we've invested in has followed the same basic terms, which at this point are pretty standard for the industry. Knowing about these in advance makes you look a lot more credible to investors, and there's 4 key concepts to understand: preferred return, return of capital, step-up, and investor protections. Let's imagine that you're buying a business that does $1 million of earnings at a 4x multiple, so the purchase price is $4 million. And let's assume that you want to raise $500,000 of investor capital for the equity injection. So up first, there's the preferred return. Investors will ask for a preferred return, typically 10%, but sometimes higher. The preferred return accrues annually, so in this case, $50,000 a year. You don't have to pay that preferred return in cash in a given year if it doesn't make sense for the business, but if it's not paid, it accrues. The second component is return of capital. As the searcher, you'll earn a salary from the business, but increases to that salary will be capped, typically at 3 to 5% a year. This aligns your incentive with investors because it means that both you and the investors want the business to make profit distributions, and that's where you'll make your real money, not through the salary. The agreement searchers make with investors is that 100% of profit distributions will first go to paying investors their preferred return and then to returning their originally invested capital, in this case, the $500,000. Once the preferred return has been paid and investor capital has been returned, future distributions will be split between you and the investors based on your ownership percentages. And that takes us to the third component, the step-up. How are those ownership percentages calculated? The step-up is a bit of a confusing concept, and we'll do a separate video on it, but the basic math is investor ownership equals the percentage of the purchase price contributed by investors multiplied by the step-up. Step-up is often 2x, it's almost never lower than that, and sometimes up to 3 or higher. The rule of thumb is if you're buying at a higher multiple, investors will ask for a higher step-up. In this case, investors contributed $500,000 out of the $4 million purchase price, or 12.5%. Let's assume that it's a 2x step-up, so the math is investor ownership equals the 12.5% of the purchase price provided by investors multiplied by the 2x step-up equals 25% investor ownership. The final component is a standard list of things that require investor approval, like issuing new debt or equity, selling the business, buying a new business, increasing the searcher's salary above 3 to 5% a year, changing the operating agreement, etc. Now that you've watched this video, you actually probably understand self-funded search terms better than many of the searchers out there. If you want to see the term sheet we actually use for all our investments, just follow me and comment term sheet and I'll DM it to you.